Hello and welcome back to the channel. In honor of some of the diabolical calls made by VAR in this World Cup that even Kasparov himself had to comment, today we're playing chess, but you can't be caught offside. And for chess, this means that I can't have a piece go closer to the king than its last two defenders. Let's get started with game number one. Okay, game number one, I will play this like a totally normal game of chess and also loosely rant a little bit about VAR in this most recent World Cup. We are met with pawn to e6 by Kasparov, by Martin. Martin plays pawn to e6, and I think basically because it's Martin, I just have to focus on playing on the first 5 ranks of the board. Something like bishop to b4 with check, I can probably counterattack and then take for free on the next turn. Oh, pardon me, I spoke way too soon. Martin actually defending its pieces. Let's go pawn to b4 and target the bishop again. Okay, there we go. He does have a little bit of counterattack, so I'm going to play e5 and tickle both of his pieces at the same time. He decides to sack the bishop. I actually think I'm not going to take the knight. I'd rather take the bishop, because again, I want to keep the play on this part of the board. That way I never risk even accidentally going quote-unquote offsides against the king. At the moment, the last two defenders are anywhere between the queen and these two pawns, so there's no shot that I want to even accidentally get a piece too close, since you guys know from some of the previous variants that I've played that I'm one to forget rules every so often. Pawn to a6, Martin getting very geometric with his pawn structure. How solid it is, I have no idea. You'd imagine these dark squares are extremely weak. I have an outpost on d6 and b6 as well. This would be a great place if I did have a dragon to give check like a knight and cover like a bishop, but no such thing in this particular variant. So instead, I think I can take this knight, so I will, and I'll just keep grabbing free material as it comes. Okay, I can take, wait, can I take this? Yeah, I can, because these two pawns are still closer to the king than this pawn would be on g7. Okay, so I can in fact capture. Wow, pawn to d5, which does simply allow the promotion. But, okay, this pawn is 1-2 squares away from the king, and this one is only 1. So this pawn would be 1-2-3 squares away from the king, so we're actually okay to take and promote into a queen. Now, I do think we're approaching a very suspicious position. I think this is going to be checkmate quite soon, assuming that I can give checkmate at a distance. Of course, I can't give, like, I don't know, contact checkmate with support, because that would inherently mean that my queen is right next to the king, which would definitely put it closer than its nearest defenders. But I was going to make this comment about VAR in the World Cup. If you are following the World Cup, you know there have been some absolutely atrocious calls made, and I think at least for me, the opinion that I most resonate with is the opinion that I don't like that when they zoom in on the VAR, it's like suddenly animated. It's suddenly like this 3D rendition as opposed to an actual camera like zooming in on the actual players. I mean, this is the World Cup. Like, why do you not have like a high-speed camera at either end of the field, just kind of following whichever player is most advanced, so that if it does come down to an offside call, you can just zoom in on this ultra high-speed 4K high frame rate camera. And then that way the audience can also see the VAR sort of digital line being drawn over that real footage. Anyways, that's my rant about VAR. So now these are the two closest defenders. You guys can let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about VAR in soccer, or rather football, if you even follow the sport. But as you can see, I am personally quite perturbed. Anyways, these are the two closest defenders to the king. So obviously I can't capture because that would leave this defender being the closest, and I guess one of these being the next closest, which would put me offsides. So this actually isn't a free pawn. I'll go ahead and just retreat the bishop. I do think that for the rest of this game, I can probably just capture free stuff as it sort of stampedes down the board, so I can pretty much just develop. I mean, I have 2 queens for crying out loud. En passant is forced, as we all know. Whoa! Back it up, buddy. Whoa, what is he doing? Okay, these are still, I'm almost afraid of the king approaching any one of my pieces, because I guess that could also put me offside, which is quite terrifying. Okay, if I take this with check, these are both literally touching the king, and my queen would still be separated by an extra square, so this is okay, this is fine. The king goes back, 1-2, 1-2, and the queen is also 1-2. So I'm tied with the other defenders, so I'm not offside yet, but I'm going to retreat this queen. Weirdly enough, this king having all this open space around him is actually a huge problem for me. The queen does take on b6, and I do think it's finally time that I actually hold true to my word and actually mind my own business for a second. Yeah, queen comes out to play. I'm just going to castle my king. I have lots of material to speak of. I'm going to go ahead and skewer that. I'll either grab the queen or the bishop. Looks like it's going to be the bishop. Queen goes back, thank you very much. And I also have to make sure that Martin still has at least 2 pawns, I suppose. 2 pawns on the board. That way I can give some sort of like ladders mate or mate from a distance, but still have the king have its 2 nearest defenders. This is getting awfully convoluted, but I promise it makes sense. Let's go. Oh, that's a misclick. I was going to say, let's go queen b1 and just trade her off for the rook. I basically just want to manipulate the position to the point where I can sort of force the king where I want him. And that's not really going to happen with these pieces on the board, considering that Martin always sees checkmate in 1 move, which I won't gripe about. You guys already know my opinion about a 250 elo Martin always seeing checkmate in 1, but it is what it is. We'll go ahead and take this pawn so I can play maybe bishop b5. Oh, trade off the queen right away. Awesome. The knight does take back, threatens the bishop. I might as well throw it back into the abyss. And I think I'm just going to develop my rook and maybe reroute my queen this way. It's a little bit of an involved maneuver, but I really have to give a distance sort of checkmate. There's no way that I can give checkmate right up against the king. This is really not good. Hold on. Okay, so these are the 2 nearest defenders. So this isn't really a problem, but I can't take. Wait, yes I can. Because if I take, the pawn can't take back, at least while it's pinned. But then if he breaks the pin, I have to push this pawn. So say for instance I take. Obviously Martin can't recapture, but what he could do is he could move the king forward, or even worse, to e7, which I guess would coincidentally pin it again. But if he ever gets out of this pin and I have to do something like e6 to ensure that this pawn doesn't stray too far away, that could put me offside. So I think all of this is just unnecessary. I'm just going to move the queen back, allow him, yeah, sure, push as much as you please. I'm shuffling over to the opposite side of the board. The king runs. Okay, I'm still happy that these 2 pieces are in contact with the king, however. We're going to put him in check. Okay, and this is where it starts to get a little bit sketch, because now these are the 2 nearest pieces. Let's go back, and what I want to do is I want to reroute this knight so the king doesn't have an escape. That makes me happy to see, because it means that the king's 2 nearest defenders are in fact literally in contact with the king, touching the king. Okay, that's still the case, but now what I've done is I've blocked off these 2 squares, and this one as well, meaning the king is trapped, right? The king can only move to g6 or h6, so I think now I can bring the queen close, and I'm still, oh, what are you doing? No! What is that? Knight to f3 check. Okay, I was gonna say I'm still allowed to play, you know, check here or here because the king has 2 pieces directly in contact, which would allow checkmate very soon. But is knight to f3 completely game over for me? Okay, if I take, the 2 nearest defenders are these 2 pieces. That's 1 square away, and I think just by like the geometry of it, you can see that this pawn would be further from the king than this bishop. So I can't take, that would put me offside. If I move, but if I move the king over, this knight and this pawn are all further away from the king than this bishop. Oh, I was lazy to leave this bishop there. Is that, oh, that's it, isn't it? Oh, I lost. No, I'm offside. This is how those soccer players must feel when they see the tape rewind and suddenly, you know, your pinky toe is over the line or whatever. Wow, that's crazy. So I just lost the challenge. That's it. Okay, GG's, let's run it back. Okay, that was crazy, but we are back for a rematch. I'm going to mind my own business, I think, a little bit more this time. I need to prioritize getting rid of these bigger pieces. I know that's a crazy thing to say after I just said I'm going to mind my own business, but as far as taking free stuff is concerned, I actually want to leave pawns on the board. I just want to be able to grab free pieces as they come, which they will come because this is Martin. Okay, sure, knight to f3. No doubt this queen is gone soon, and vamoosh. Perfect. The queen is gone. The bishop is gone. Who else? Who's next? The knight is gone. You'd think I actually have some sort of communication with Martin going on. The pawn I actually don't want to be gone. I want to leave the pawns on. You're kidding me. Okay, these are the nearest 2 pieces. Okay, you know what? No, I'm backing up the queen, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and give away this pawn somehow. I'm gonna back up all of these pieces. I can't get, wow, how is he getting, why is he advancing so much? Let's try to get rid of this pawn. Right now, I'm equidistant to the nearest 2 defenders. So I'm gonna leave this pawn there for a minute until Martin takes it. Okay, a5, he's really not doing a good job of taking free stuff right now. Okay, perfect. He took the pawn, which means now all of these pieces are closer to the king than any of my pieces. I wonder if I have to systematically give away my own pieces as well. Might make my life a little bit easier. I think the other thing I have to do is actually make his pawns get stuck, if that makes any sense. Okay, that's a huge sigh of relief because now we have 2 defenders directly in contact with the king. But the reason that I think I have to sort of make his pawns get stuck is because he kind of goes crazy pushing pawns when he feels like he runs out of moves. And I want his king to be stuck against pawns that can't go anywhere, so I can guarantee that, those defenders never leave the side of the king. So I think I'm actually going to start pushing pawns of my own and try and get them to sort of get stuck against Martin's own pawns. Okay, but he's going to keep playing like a crazy person. So now we have this pawn being the closest one to the king. Okay, let's take this knight. Let's place this knight here. And I think what I'm going to have to do is either get him against this pawn structure if he pushes this, or drag him all the way over and get him against this pawn structure, which I have managed to sort of tie down. So how can I do that? Let's bring the queen over here first. King goes back. Let's go check. He goes up again. Let's get our king up so we can drag out the rook as well. That I like. Now, if we could just get b4, I'd be pretty happy. Maybe knight to a3 would encourage this movement. No, of course not. Okay, let's bring this rook over. Like, this is nice that there's so many pieces directly in contact with the king, because it makes it way less likely that I'll be offside by accident. But he does have the opportunity to just push the pawn, slide the rook over, and in 3 moves, I could suddenly be offside if I leave any of these pieces too close to the king. So I think I might actually just retreat. Rook shuffles over again. Let's maybe give away this bishop and maybe get queen d4 on the board. Okay. Oh, rook b8. I can take that because there's still 2 pieces in contact with the king. Rook shuffles over. Is there not checkmate here? Let's go check. King over, nice. Can I take? Oh, I can take! Okay, and this does not put me, oh, you son of a gun! I was hoping he would take because then rook to a5, but again, Martin never misses mate in 1. Oh, wait, but I can still take because this is pinned. I would just lose because I would be offside, right? I would have a rook in contact with the king, and there would only be 1 nearest defender. Wow, I really thought I had that for a second. What about this? Can I play check? King goes back, but then I'm risking offside again. Okay, maybe rook to e7. I like rook to e7 because then knight b4 is checkmate, right? Wow, that is actually the craziest checkmate I've ever had the pleasure of delivering. Knight to b4. The pawn is pinned, the rook is pinned. The king is in check. The king can't go to the 7th rank because of the rook. Can't shuffle over because of the queen and can't move forward because of these 2 pieces, which I needed to be there because that means there's 2 defenders on the king, so I'm not offside. And with that, we do defeat Martin, even in the face of offside VAR staring down the barrel. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know down below your opinion on VAR. I have a lot of thoughts clearly, so I'm very curious to hear yours as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.